Vedika Behel is in the studio with me. Hi, Vedika.
Hi, Yinka.
So the United States Justice Department appears to have quietly removed a study about a far-right extremist violence that is going on in the US from its own website just days after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Tell us more.
That is correct, Yinka. The US Department of Justice deleted one of its own studies from its website, a study that concluded that far-right extremists had killed more Americans, in fact, than left-wing or radical Islamist extremists. Now, this was first reported by independent internet and technology journalists at 404 Media, but in fact, it was first flagged by a PhD student by the name of Daniel Malmer, who is studying online extremism. He had been monitoring the page, and in fact, he found that it had disappeared from the internet between the 12th and the 13th of September. So that's just days after Charlie Kirk was shot by a gunman on the 10th of September. And he noted that the last date of accessibility for that study on the DOJ website was the 12th of September. Now, according to Malmer and 404 Media, after it was deleted from the website, this is the immediate redirection from the DOJ website. This was the page. A notice appeared on it saying that it is currently reviewing its website and materials in accordance with recent executive orders and related guidance. Since then, however, it has in fact been updated again to a single sentence. Let's take a look. Here it is. The requested page could not be found. That is all there is now on that single page. Now, if we want to talk a little bit about that study in question, the vanished study was titled What NIJ Research, so that's National Institute of Justice Research, tells us about domestic terrorism. It is only available now to view, Yinka, on this page, Wayback Machine, which is in fact an internet archive.
Well, the timing of that removal is extremely interesting there, isn't it, Vedika? What's also noticeable is that the scrubbed report seems to directly contradict recent statements made by the Trump administration.
Yes, you could say that. The scrubbed report published in January 2024, it spans 3 decades of research. And literally in its opening paragraph, its opening words are here. Since 1990, far-right extremists have committed far more ideologically motivated homicides than far-left or radical Islamist extremists. They've even included figures here, saying that includes 227 events that took more than 520 lives. In this same period, far-left extremists committed 42 ideologically motivated attacks that took 78 lives. As you said, this is a stark contrast to the recent comments we have been hearing from Trump and Trump's officials in the White House. Trump and his officials have in fact been pointing the finger at left-wing extremism linked to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This week, Trump himself made several statements about the left. He said, quote, "The radical left causes tremendous violence and they seem to do it in a bigger way." So that directly contradicts the findings of that study we saw there. Now, just days ago, he doubled down on that stance one more time. Now, let's take a listen exactly to what he said.
Well, the problem is on the left. If you look at the problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left. And when you look at the agitators, you look at the scum that speaks so badly of our country, the American flag burnings all over the place, that's the left, that's not the right.
So doubling down on his stance against what he calls the radical left. Again, this week, the White House has said it would crack down on what it has called a vast domestic terror movement. Vice President J.D. Vance has particularly spoken out against what he alleges to be a left-wing extremist movement. And he says that that is directly what helped lead to Charlie Kirk's killing. Now, I just want to note that whilst the investigation into the death of Charlie Kirk is ongoing, there hasn't been any evidence presented by prosecutors thus far linking his suspected shooter, Tyler Robinson, to any such groups or any connection made thus far. But overall, let's return to the facts, and the facts remain as follows. The DOJ did quietly remove from its website a study that detailed the scale and the figures of right-wing extremism in the US. The White House has indeed this week pledged a crackdown on what it calls the radical left. And Yinka, from what I can see, the DOJ has not responded to any media requests or inquiries about why or for what reason it has deleted that page on its website. So that is the fact, and that is what we know thus far about this.